Welcome to Our English. I am Priscilla Ramcharan, the founder here in the United States, and I'm ecstatic to introduce you to Dr. Eunice Gwanmesia. She and I met in the Milestone Circle, a platform provided by the NASDAQ community, and I just had to bring her on and have her share the amazing work that she's been doing to help others. So welcome, Dr. Eunice. Can you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Priscilla. First of all, thank you so much for having me on your platform. It's a pleasure being here. So good morning, everyone who is watching. I am Dr. Eunice Gwanmesia, all the way from Magnolia, Delaware. I am a diversity, equity, and inclusion strategist, an educator, a published author, a speaker, and a registered nurse by trade. And I am the founder and CEO for Eunity Solutions, which is a consulting company right here in Magnolia, Delaware. Thank you so much.
Congratulations to you. And again, I'm so happy to have you and to be connected and to learn as much as I can from you.
Awesome. We'll learn from each other, right?
Absolutely. That's what it's all about, sharing and caring.
Absolutely.
So, Dr. Eunice, tell me what inspired you to create your organization?
Oh, that's an interesting question. So for your viewers probably don't know me, but I am a little girl from the cornfields of Cameroon in Central West Africa. And at a very early age, while I was growing up, at the age of 21, I always wanted to be a teacher like my dad. So after high school, I decided to enroll in a French-speaking University of Yaoundé. And because I was so comfortable, I refused to learn another language, which in this case was French. So that led me to flunk out of college at that age. So I learned about my cultural responsiveness at a very early age in life. So that failure alone was traumatizing. You can only imagine, right? You saw no light at the end of the tunnel. Mm-hmm. But what is beautiful about it is the fact that that failure led me to travel around the world, because in search of a better education, I traveled around the world through Canada and ended up in Delaware. But one of the things that I learned through that process is that I still failed, even in Canada, to embrace my Canadian brothers and sisters and allow them to embrace me so I can learn about their cultural beliefs and values. And I ended up leaving Canada very disheartened and lonely, looking for a place where I would see people that looked like me or a place to call home. And I would eventually make that home in Delaware. So while in Delaware, I was met with a transformation where I was told I could not apply for a job because I was a Black woman, because I had an accent, and because of how I sounded. Being an immigrant, being a woman, and having a heavy accent, those to me is what defined my story. So I was very disheartened. I was hurt. My heart was bleeding. And have you been in a place where someone is doubting your value based on what you sound like, what you look like, and your skin color, right? So that to me said, these are predeterminants to a job opportunity, but I had to define for myself that those were not going to be predeterminants to a job opportunity. And if we think about it, that's what people often maybe see in the media or others telling them, oh, because you sound different, because you look different, you're less intelligent, you're less valuable, and things like that. But that should not be.
No.
You know, if we think back to somebody like Kofi Annan always said, we may have different religions, different colored skin, but we all belong to the same human race. And if we all just embrace this collectively, we are stronger. So I know quite well the disadvantages of not embracing cultural differences. And so when I ended up teaching at an Institute of Higher Learning, I made it a promise to myself that I will continue with this passion of helping people embrace cultural differences. And I started an annual celebration of cultural heritage. And in the moment and how this blossomed, I realized that change needed to come. And so I asked myself, there's a statement that says, you either can choose to be part of the problem or part of the solution. So I decided to be part of that solution. And that's how Eunity Solutions was founded, so that we could create a platform where we could continue these conversations, sometimes very difficult conversations, but meaningful, so that we can continue to move the needle towards everyone embracing each other and nurturing those cultures of inclusion and belonging. So
That is
that's how Eunity
wonderful.
Solutions was formed.
Congratulations to you. I love that you took a kind of down moment and turned it into helping others and becoming unselfish with exploring culture, exploring diversity. It's
Absolutely.
very important to understand that in America, there's a menu of skin colors, cultures, people from other countries. I myself, coming from Trinidad and experiencing, I had told you about, my accent. And
Mm-hmm.
instead of, having that kind of turned me off, it really empowered me even more to say, I do know my value. So you're absolutely right about that. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. So we will put all the information to get in touch with you in the description box. And hopefully, we can help as many as we possibly can to embrace their value and culture. I love that.
Absolutely.
Very
Yeah. And
nice.
if I may add to that, sometimes our value, it falls back to really who you are and being proud of who you are. And the question becomes, what is your identity? Yes,
Hmm.
there are different types of identities, but that foundational is your cultural identity. That's where you come from. That's your foundation. That's your roots. Are you proud of that identity? Are you using that identity to gain that self-confidence, that sense of security, that self-image, and that sense of well-being, such that you can walk bravely and boldly and be able to see others from their own lens, because we all don't see things from the same lens. We have different perspectives, and that doesn't make us weaker. It makes us stronger. So
Yes.
when you have that sense, then you will understand that you are a culture add and not a culture fit. So that when you walk into these spaces and you're given a chance at the table and also given a voice, you can bring those talents and skills that only you have. That talent that is unique to you. When you're on the job, you're going to be taught skills and knowledge, but your talent only you have. And so if you're given that voice, know that you are a culture add and bring that voice to the table and add that value, instead of trying to just fit in the culture and change your ways of how you grew up being.
Ooh, I feel the energy. And going back to what you mentioned when you arrived in Canada, you kind of shied away from getting to know the people and the culture, et cetera. And I noticed that very often. Simple things like hiding your home food,
Mhm. Mhm.
being kind of aware that this is different. And I love that you are empowering others to embrace that difference and share it
Mhm.
with the world. Be
Mhm.
proud of it because you can inspire so many.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you just hit the food issue. It's interesting because I can remember my earlier days in Delaware going to work and people smelling my food, and I hated that.
Oh,
So this whole food issue has one of the reasons that led me to write the book that we're going to be talking about, The Power of Your Identity,
yes.
because upon arriving in Delaware, with all the questions and all the ideas of me advising me not to apply for a job, obviously I ended up getting the job, right? So the
Hmm.
challenge then became trying to educate people what they did not know. People asking you, where are you from again? And are you speaking? And people asking you what with that extra A in the middle, and always having to explain and re-explain who you are, where you come from, what you're eating, why the food is this way or that way. And in the long process, I've realized that talking to my kids, they're starting to go through the same things I went through back in the 90s, and we're in the 21st century.
You're kidding.
So as an immigrant and someone who has adapted to a new culture, someone who has experiences in raising a child with a disability or helping my kids navigate the school system, it dawned on me that these conversations have to start at the kitchen table. Because if we
Mm.
do not teach our kids earlier on in life that it's okay to be different, it's okay to sound different, it's okay to eat different skin colors, it's okay to have friends who are from different cultures, different religions, different backgrounds, maybe have, differently abled and all of that, then we are missing out. But if we did that right at the kitchen table, our children copy what we do. They hear what we say, beginning as early as middle school age. They can retain that information. So what about we start those conversations at the kitchen table, so that by the time they get out into the world, they're able to boldly embrace those differences. And when I think about it, I can say, what about your child or my child, right? Let's say you're Catholic and my child is Muslim, and you come from Trinidad, and maybe we come from, say, India. And all of a sudden, these kids are going to meet at school. They're not naturally going to be talking about the Catholic and the Muslim religion, or the Indian jollof rice, or the Trinidad red rice and beans and all of that. But if we had talked to them at home about these things and the values that it carries, they will easily engage in those conversations. When the conversation comes up, it will not be strained. It will not cause them to stand up like, okay, I don't know what you're talking about. Ew, that kind of food. Why is your food preserved differently? So that is what led me to write this book, so that I can guide parents and teachers how to really work together and help the kids through having those conversations at home, plus in the school system, teachers creating those inclusive workplace culture, knowing that these kids come from different backgrounds, and we have to meet the kids where they are. Understanding that socialization starts at home, parents doing that, and then when they get into the school system, the teachers take over, working in collaboration and partnership with the parents to help bring our kids to where we want them to be, so that we can live a world that is more embracive of everyone, and so they can all thrive and be self-confident and have better self-image and security. That's how my Power of Your Identity came about.
Yes, congratulations on that too. So much to celebrate for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And that reminded me, with my daughters being born in the United States and myself going through the education system, it was just natural for us to embrace all cultures. And I never grew my children up talking about specific races or specific cultures. I allowed them to kind of explore themselves. And I've always been a teacher at the school that they attended. So I would make an effort to have a cultural day and have each student bring in a food from their home countries or their parents' home countries. And they absolutely loved it. So I agree with you. At this point in time, 21st century, we should be a lot more open-minded, because our country is filled with so many beautiful cultures and heritages that it's better to celebrate than to put each other down.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what better way of doing it other than over food and music, right?
Right.
Food and music gets us talking, it puts us in a celebratory mode, and people are happy to exchange and embrace, have those meaningful encounters with others. And the same thing I found when we did the annual Day of Cultural Heritage at my institution of higher learning. It was great. People just relaxed, dressed in their cultural attires, brought different foods, and it was just a great celebration. And you get to know other people and why they do things the way they do it.
I absolutely love it. And I have an aunt out in Dubai currently, and her children attend a private school. And of the 1,500 people, no one had heard about Trinidad.
Oh, wow.
Or either that, or they're the first Trinidadian students in that school, if I'm not mistaken. So she went and they had a cultural day. She brought in snacks from Trinidad. She had the huge flag, the carnival outfit, and really just educated others about our little island. And I think that's what it takes, that one person to get the ball going.
Absolutely, absolutely. That awareness that we all don't have, just being aware that something or someone exists and some culture, and understanding why things are done in a certain way. One of the examples, we actually talked about this last night in our program that I'm in, and we were talking about how students behave. One lady was mentioning how when she was teaching, how the kids were rude. And, I just said, in terms of awareness, not everybody's at the same level. And sometimes I realize that people act ignorantly, not because they intend to sometimes, it's because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
And all they know is what they've seen on social media, what they've seen in the media, or what they've been told by their circles or the environment that they live in. So sometimes I like to seize those teaching moments and educate when the opportunity arises. And I've done that several times. Even when I first was here in Delaware at my first job, I had to pull someone aside and said, "You're being very condescending." But they did not realize that they were talking to me and rolling their eyes and just really not being pleasant at all. And today we're best friends. So that shows that we can resolve conflict in a timely manner. And it's how we communicate with each other, especially across culturally, because things that I will do may not be things that you're going to do. Or me talking to you and not maintaining eye contact is my culture. It doesn't mean I'm less intelligent. It doesn't mean I am shy. It's just my culture that I was raised in. Now, if I find myself within the American system, it is quite normal and expected of you to maintain eye contact when you're talking to someone. But in my culture, it's a sign of respect when I'm talking to someone in authority or older, not to maintain eye contact. So you just have to make that shift based on what culture you find yourself in. And we all have to learn that these are differences that are just norms within our cultures of origin. And if we just did that and become aware of that and continue that exchange and encounters to share those beliefs and values, I think we will be in a better place.
Agreed. What a beautiful conversation. I love the work that you're doing and the difference that you're making. And of course, I can feel the genuineness of the love that you have for creating a safe space for everyone.
Thank you.
Need I ask, what is your inspiration?
What inspires me? You know, to be honest, first and foremost, I'm always just grateful to be alive. Waking up in the morning, you just say, thank you, God, for giving me another day, right?
Yes.
But then I look at the things happening around the world. I see the opportunities for us making a difference, and that inspires me. And one of the things is I have my belief, what I call Dr. G's 5P principles of success.
Oh, right. Let me hear
which
it.
is my purpose, my passion, my patience, persistence, and perseverance. These are the things that I have held on to through my challenges in life. These are the things that I use as my self-care plan to fall back on when I'm facing those challenges. Because I don't like to dwell on challenges, I dwell on the lesson that I learned from through my challenges. Because I've come to realize that life is going to happen regardless of how much you plan. So in that plan, you have to have a plan B that you fall back to. And that plan B for me is my self-care plan. When I'm facing these challenges, now what? But if I know and have identified my purpose and actually know who I am through my identity, putting those pieces together helps me take a step back and say, okay, now this is the situation. Why is this happening? Now what? And that what becomes maybe a re-strategizing, maybe resetting your goals, maybe changing your circle. Because sometimes it is a season and you're probably in a season where you need to get rid of some things and some people. It doesn't mean that you're just rejecting them. It's just a time that you need to refocus. And you need to refocus, and you also need to say, hey, I'm going to change direction. When the plane is flying, what does it do? When it meets turbulence or clouds, it changes direction, just like when you're driving. So our life is the same. You got to take that detour when things are not moving, whether it means getting out of the circles you're in or changing some things about your plan and resetting those goals, re-strategizing, but taking care of you. And taking care of you is filling your cup of love so you can continue giving that love and doing the things that you're doing. So for me, I always fall back on my purpose. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Is it for my kids? Is it for the community? Whoever it is what I fall back on and think of that purpose, because that purpose is the why, is that reason that you get out of your bed on a daily basis. is that reason why you go through a brick wall without even knowing you just went through a brick wall. Then your passion, what do you love doing? What is it that you would do with your eyes closed? I consider myself, I just want to have everyone embrace each other.
Yes.
Engage, educate, and empower others to just embrace everyone around the world, regardless of the differences, because those differences are opportunities for us to grow personally and professionally. They're not just challenges and issues for us to fight about. And then we have to think about being patient in the process, because we live in a culture where everything is give me now, give me now, give me now, I want it now. And we want to succeed because we see somebody else succeed at a faster pace than us. Success is in the eye of the beholder. Someone's rate of success or pace of success is different from yours. You don't know what they're doing. They may be solving a different problem and you're solving a different problem. You may have a different audience and they have a different audience. Right. So you got to exercise patience, because you're given the talent, you have the skills and the expertise. You're going to do it at your own pace. Just exercise patience and it will come. And those challenges are there just so that tomorrow you will have a testimony. Because if you don't go through those challenges, you're not going to know it, because lived experience, you now have the challenge, you have the lived experience. Tomorrow you can say, I have been there. I have experienced it. I know how it feels. And this is the strategy that I that process at the time can then use your strategies to better help themselves. And then you have to persevere through that process as well. And I always say perseverance is for them, because they're thinking, oh, you're going through challenges, you're going to give up. But you keep changing those strategies and being persistent. And before they know it, you blossom. And it's like, wow, we thought she was going to fail, because there are people out there, the naysayers, just waiting for you to fail. But in the process, if you just keep doing and falling back on your self-care plan, like Dr. G's 5P principles, then you're working your deal and you're doing your thing. And when you come out, they're like, wow, but you didn't get rid of them. You just stepped out and you're doing your thing outside of those circles, because you want to be in the circles with like-minded people that are going in the same direction, dancing to the same music, just so that you can grow and become that better version of yourself for your future self for tomorrow.
Yes. Woo,
so
powerful.
Yeah, thank you.
Very well said. A wise woman said to me, we live many lifetimes in this one life. And I totally agree with you. Some people come into our lives for a moment. And then you have those that are with you the whole way through. But it's that journey, that learning from those experiences that really makes the hairs on the back of your neck, like, where did this come from? Why did this happen to me? But instead of looking there, I love what you said about looking for the learning experience, the lesson, the solution. How will I do this differently next time? Super
Absolutely.
powerful. Well, so in terms of the phrase, don't take things personally. In our case, we did. We took what others said about our accents, about our food, about our skin color. We took it personally and turned it into our success. So what would you, how would you respond to don't take it personally?
That's actually a fantastic question. I think I would answer this in two parts. It's based on the context. When someone says to you, don't take things personally, what is the context you're talking about? Is it just a regular friendship? Don't take things personally, casual conversation that turns nasty, and then someone gets offended, versus a situation where you learn something like you just said, our languages, our food, our culture, our accent, and being a woman and all of those things, right? So if I were to answer this part of the question with the skin color, the language and all of that, is that I'm not going to take it personal, but in hindsight, you're hurt, you're disappointed. But when you're hurt and disappointed and you're pushed to the corner, you learn not to give up. You learn to fight, and you fight in a positive way. Not, it doesn't mean go out and destroy things. You sit back and reflect. And that lesson from that instance is what you build upon, because you're not only improving yourself, you're serving mankind and you're serving your community, because you're helping to stop further issues. Because if you don't teach people what they don't know, they will continue in that same manner. And eventually they might touch someone that will not react so well. We see all the issues we're having with hatred and shootings and stuff. It's just because we lack communication. We don't get into a situation where we resolve conflict in a timely manner. We don't get to talking to each other and understanding why we do things differently, so that we can have an exchange, conversation where we understand where somebody's perspective was, why they said what they said. So not really focusing on taking it personal, but de-escalating, if I may use that word, de-escalating the situation so that we can prevent something bad from happening.
Absolutely. And then my final question, that was really well said, would be, once your feelings are hurt, what space are you coming from to offer forgiveness for the situation, for the comment, for the person?
I love that question. And I have to start by saying forgiveness is not for the person that offended you. Forgiveness is for you. Why? Because you need to find peace in your heart. When you do not forgive, I call it giving people keys to your brain. Because then you're constantly worried. What is this person saying? What is this one thinking? What are they saying? Do they pay your bills? Number one. Absolutely not.
Nope.
Do they come help you take your kids to school? No. Are they helping you solve your challenges that you're facing at work or other challenges in your life? Absolutely not. So if someone has offended you, find space in your heart to forgive, because you're not saying they were right. You're basically saying, I need to find peace in my heart so I can move on.
Yes.
So forgiving them is not accepting what they did was right. It's just saying, let me forgive so I can be at peace, so I can move on and do the things and impact the lives that I have come here to do, the purpose that I'm here to serve, and not worry about who has hurt you. If we could just view life from that perspective, I think that we could really resolve some of these misunderstandings amongst ourselves, in our places of work, in our homes, in our communities, in our relationships, and life would just be much better than what we have right now.
I truly agree. And I love this conversation. I love speaking to you. So I've picked your brain enough. You've told us so much about your work and your accomplishments. And do you have a final message for our viewers?
My final message for our viewers is, I'm going to start by inviting them to my book launch, The Power of Your Identity, A Cultural Landscape for Children. As I mentioned earlier, this is going to be a powerful book, and I'm going to decree it's going to be a bestseller, because I'm running for the bestseller campaign. So I need you all to come with me on February 8th from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. to experience a snippet of the conversation that's in this book. You also get a chance to download the ebook during that hour on February 8th, so you can take a leap at reading this before the paperback actually gets printed. So I'm inviting each and every one of your viewers to come and celebrate with me on that February 8th from 12 to 1, so that you can also get a guide, whether you're a parent, whether you're an immigrant, whether you're a diplomat, whether you're a teacher. So together we can really groom our kids to embrace others that are different than them, that look different, that sound different, and create that safe and non-judgmental space so that we can leave a legacy for our children. And so my last words would be, just think of who you are and know that you have a statue in you. And I believe it was Michelangelo who once said, in every brick of stone, there is a statue. And it is up to the work of the sculptor to discover that statue. So leaders, and each and every one of us, when you're in a group, when you're in a community, when you're at work or you're leading or managing others, learn to give everybody a voice. Learn to help them tap that statue out of them. Because yes, everyone has unique talent. You can teach the skills and knowledge, but let's get into the habit of pulling out that talent and helping them perform at their highest potential. But to
Love
each and
it.
every one of us personally, until you can change, doing the same thing every day and not seeing any change and keep doing it, it's not going to help you. So that change that you so desire and want must begin with you, because you are the captain of your ship. And that's what I would say. And if no one has told you they love you, Dr. G loves you.
Priscilla loves you too.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you came on and shared your story and your work. So happy to have you. I look forward to all of our endeavors in the future. Big hugs
Absolutely.
to you and happy
Yes, ma'am.
2023.
Yes, yes, yes. And thanks
Say,
to NASDAQ for linking us on milestone circles for the connection. Yes, I am super
yes.
excited. Yes.
Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.